The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down. This is a book which reflects the cultural conflicts between the traditional monks and the Western medicine. This is a tale regarding Leah Lee, the daughter of Phua and now Kao, who was suffering from the most severe forms of epilepsy. The author Annie Fadima, who is a renowned author and a reporter, wrote this book in 1997 and won the National Critics Circle Award for the same. After she wrote this book, she mentioned that this book made her a better mother and a better patient. This book revolves around the key conflict of monks and the doctors, whereas the both parties had a common goal to treat Leah, and both the parties went so wrong because of the lack of understanding between each other. The Lees, like other monks, migrated to the United States from Laos and Thailand refugee camps. The monks participated in the US Vietnamese War, and so they believed that they had the right to stay in US, whereas the local Americans were unaware of this fact and they always saw monks as unwanted migrants. The monk word itself means free men. They don't like to rule or be ruled. They don't like to give orders or take orders from anyone. They just like to be left alone. They don't like to lose. They don't mind being outnumbered, and they are intensely attached to their culture and traditions. They would rather flee, fight, or die than surrender. As already mentioned, they don't like to take orders, so it means in the Western model of medicine that they don't like to listen to the doctors or their prescriptions, whereas the doctors in the Western model want the patient to listen to them and be compliant. The cultural and linguistic miscommunication between the monks who treated who treated Liali and the monks form the core issue of this book. The doctors are shown to be irritated by monk behavior because of their inability to explain their symptoms and due to linguistic and cultural barriers. Monks' disbelief towards Western medicine was also the cause of the doctors not being very fond of the monks. The doctors who had spent years studying scientific approach to treatment also seemed to be least interested in the cultural and tradition remedies. The monks were also not very fond of the doctors and the hospitals, as they believed that doctors tend to overpower them and rule their body. They insert foreign bodies, plastics, and metals into their body, ask personal questions, undress them for checkup, and moreover, they believe that most of the diseases are caused by soul loss or evil spirits, whereas the doctors believe otherwise. They had a stigma towards Western medicine as their own traditional method of medicine was quite different from that of the Western medicine. They had their own traditional healers known as shamans who used to treat patients by traditional remedies like rituals like sacrificing a pig or a chicken, rub coins or herbs over their body. Moreover, the shaman used to visit them, be polite to them, never used to ask personal questions, never undress the patient for checkup, and moreover, they used to talk to them in their own language. So they did not have any linguistic barrier and they used to listen to what the patient had to say. In fact, the only doctor in Merced which was loved by and favored by the monks was the one who used to listen to them and follow their methods of treatment and did not interfere with their traditional methods of treatment. He used to believe that it is their body and their own will. Initially, when Leah was taken to the hospital for the first time, she was diagnosed as pneumonia because by the time she reached, her seizure had already resolved and the Lees were unable to explain to the doctor their symptoms, whereas the doctors also did not try to ask for an interpreter. And so this led to the misdiagnosis of Leah thrice before she was finally diagnosed with epilepsy during her fourth visit, because that time when she visited the hospital she still had ongoing seizures. The similar Her treatment was started by the doctors and she improved, but when she was sent home she was prescribed some complex medications without proper explanation to the parents, and this led to poor compliance and deterioration of Leah's health. The Lees used to give her medicine according to their own will. Sometimes they used to double the dose of phenobarbital and stop giving Dilantin, and sometimes vice versa. And whenever she was admitted with another episode of seizure, she was found to have decreased amount of the medicine in her blood, or sometimes it just used to be absent. So during the course of the Leah's treatment, their doctors Nest and Peggy felt that Leah's parents' non-compliance is a threat to her health. So they came in contact with the Child Care Society, and Leah was taken away from her parents against their will to foster care for about 1 year. When Leah returned after 1 year, she recovered quite well, and her regime had simplified, and her parents also become quite compliant. But at the age of 4, Leah suffered a grand mal epilepsy along with a septic shock. She lost all her higher brain functions and was declared brain dead by the doctors. The Lees continued to take care of her, and she was able to live for 26 years, to which the doctors were amazed. Now, looking at the way forward in such circumstances and taking a lesson from Leah's case, I feel that a mix of both the traditional and the modern medicine is important in such cases to get the best possible results. The value of cultural medicine is important and should be embedded in the modern medicine model. It should be taught during the study in the medical schools. Open communication between the patient and the doctors is very important. The doctor should take care of what the patient thinks and should listen to his views and give them ample respect. The doctors need to be more patient in trying to know the cause of the disease. If there is a communication gap, an interpreter should be available or looked for. The patient should not be generalized on the basis of culture or caste. Rather, each patient should be taken as a separate identity. The patient should also show their faith in Western medicine and follow the prescriptions prescribed by the doctor and follow good compliance. Social and cultural competence is now regarded as a main and important aspect of medicine. Clement and Benson suggested that finding what is important to the other person is not a technical skill, it's an elective affinity towards the patient. And Brooks and Candles in 2013 discussed that in order to meet the health needs of the people and the community, they should be conceptualized as more than just recipients of health care. In the words of Dwight Conkerwood, who is a shaman, modern medicine may be able to substitute for a soul calling ritual as an effective remedy for a headache, but Western medicine can never replace the deep spiritual yearning of the Hmong to participate in a sacrifice drama that make life meaningful. Whereas the sickness abates or lingers, the shaman's real power in every performance is that she establishes the world. Who knows, if all aspects would have been looked after, Leah might have led a healthier life. Thank you.